This is lesson 12 from Metal Tech over metal finishes. Chapter 22, page 329 to 342 in your textbook if you're following along. As always, if you need to stop and pause this to write down your key terms, your descriptors, your images, feel free to do so at any time. We're going to start off talking about an abrasive. An abrasive is a hard natural or synthetic substance that can be used to wear away another material. Abrasive comes from the word abrade, which means to rub off. So the picture on the very top right is just a bunch of different pieces of sandpaper. You guys are going to use a lot of sandpaper in this class for your screwdriver blade and your screwdriver handle. So we will need to make sure that we have a pretty good understanding of how these abrasives work. One of the most common abrasives, a natural abrasive that's black in color and quickly wears out, is emery. So you are going to hear me tell you to get emery cloth for your screwdriver blade quite often. So this is just a picture of two different grades or grits of emery. So this one up here is a little bit grittier and this one here is a little bit finer. So this one's going to remove material rapidly, but it's going to leave your rough surface finish. This one's going to remove material slower, but leave a smoother, brighter surface finish. Abrasive cloth. This is a picture of an abrasive cloth. What abrasive cloth is just like sandpaper. However, sandpaper has abrasive grains glued to paper. Abrasive cloth has abrasive grains glued to cloth. So these are going to last a little bit longer. It's going to be a little bit more durable. Buffing is next. This picture up here is a picture of a buffer, and the green part right here is what we call our safety zone. Buffing is a mechanical finishing process used to produce a smooth, bright finish. So it's going to be really, really high polished. You're going to use the buffer to buff out and shine up your screwdriver blade and your screwdriver handle. If you notice here, this thing says rotation direction. So our buffer is going to be spinning this way. This green zone, again, is our safety zone. You want to make sure that you are buffing anywhere from at center here to about center down here. You always want to buff on the front of the machine, never on the back. So if you are here, this safe zone, if your project accidentally falls out of your hand, the only place it's going to go is down and away from you. If you try to touch up here, the machine's going to try to give you a little bit of a warning sign that'll tell you that you shouldn't be pushing your project up here because it's going to feel like it's punching you back and forth. Down here, the buffer is just going to rotate over the top of your project. So you got to make sure that you just kind of watch how hard you're pressing on the buffer. Start off with light pressure, but a really, really good firm grip. You're going to use a wire brush. So this picture here is a picture of a wire wheel. It would go right here, where in replacement of this buffing wheel, you'll use a wire brush to clean off your project that you're going to gas weld. A wire brush is going to remove rust and dirt and stuff like that from a project, from a piece of metal, and it produces a satin type of a sheen. So it's not going to give the high polish like buffing will, but it'll leave kind of a dull shine. We do have a sandblaster in here as well. Our sandblasting cabinet is black in color. It doesn't have these legs. It's smaller than this, but what it does is you'll take your project, you'll put it in where this window is, you'll take the gun and you'll point it at the project, whatever project it is. You guys are going to probably clean off just your metal that you're going to weld in the sandblaster, but when you do that, you point the gun at it and pull the trigger and it shoots this sand out at the project, and it uses a lot of force. So it uses compressed air to blow sand against an object and produces what we call a matte finish. So this matte finish is going to be a little bit more dull. So this one's going to be really shiny, this one's going to have a little bit of a shine, and this one's not going to have really a shine at all. It's going to be really dull. You can also do some type of a coating on your project. So anything that is a paint or a varnish or a lacquer, enamel, there's something called a plasti dip. any of those sorts of things are going to be what we call an organic coating. So on the previous slide, we just did kind of a mechanical type of a shine or finish to your project. This one is actually when you can paint it. You will be painting your utility shovel handle. Polishing, picture of somebody down here with an aluminum wheel that they're polishing up. So they're taking and they're just going to brighten it up. It's very similar to buffing. However, this wheel would not fit onto our standard buffer, so you're going to have to use a different type of a polishing method. Compound is the material that you have to apply to the buffing wheels. So this is just a brick of a piece of compound. Same thing here, compound in a tube. If you do not have this stuff, you will not ever get your project shined up. So you have to have this stuff. This is going to be applied to the moving buffing wheels. This is what actually does the work of shining. It's not the buffing wheel itself that does not do the shining. This is the stuff that shines your project up. If you don't have this on there, it will not shine. It would be very similar to trying to wax a car with just a towel. If you go outside to wipe a car down and try to wax it or get a brilliant shine of it, you're going to have some type of a compound applied to that towel. So again, you need to make sure that the compound is on your buffing wheel and you apply it while the wheel is running. So to wrap up lesson 9, we've got a couple questions, essential questions. What benefits can you think of that are to finishing metals? So think about what happens to metals when they're maybe left uncoated, or how they look, those sorts of things. And name at least 3 different finishing techniques that you've seen. So one example that we've given you here is a car. I'm big into making cars look nice and painting cars and things like that. So that is one example of some metal that has been finished. As always, if you have any questions, you can definitely stop by and ask. And don't forget to do the workbook assignment for this lesson.